Teikou High School Basketball Club, an unusually strong team. But among the brilliant players, 5 geniuses, better known as the Wonder Generation, stood out. There was a strange rumor going around them. It was as if there was a player on the team who was completely invisible, and was recognized by all 5 geniuses. A ghostly 6th player, Seirin High Private School. There was a recruitment drive for various sports teams. One student was very persistent, advertising the basketball club, and he asked if they wanted to join the basketball club. But a classmate admonished Kagami, saying that he wasn't calling people out properly. Then some big guy came up to them and asked them if they were the basketball club. Sitting at the table, Riko told her partner that they should find a few more people. The young man told her there weren't even 10 yet. They have a young school and a club. If they win the interscholastic and then the winter championship, they would have a big lead for next year. They'd have to find some hopeful kids. Then Kagami shows up in front of them and says he's brought them a new member. Riko wondered if he had the aura of a wild tiger. Sitting on a chair, Kagami said he wanted to join the basketball club. The girl immediately perked up and said that of course. He knows that their school only opened last year. They've only been organized for 2 years, and she thinks that someone of his build would be. But Kagami interrupted her and said it didn't matter. He's joining. After Kagami left, the captain took his profile to read it. That guy's name was Kagami Taiga, and he came from America, studying in the home country of basketball. Then Riko was handed another questionnaire. It was Tetsuya Kuroko's form. Riko had been sitting there the whole time, but for some reason she didn't remember him. And after looking closely, she realized that he was from Teikou's basketball club. The captain was surprised and asked the girl if she meant the same Teikou. Riko said that yes, if he's a freshman, he must be one of the Wonder Generation. This year is going to be fun. The basketball club gathered for its first practice. Riko stood in front of the team and introduced herself, saying that she was the coach of this club. After introducing herself, the girl ordered them all to take off their jerseys. Everyone went into a stupor, asking what for, but later still did as she asked, and Riko began to evaluate their skills. The captain said her father is an athletic trainer. He checks athletes and makes practice schedules. Riko learned this by watching him work. When she evaluates them, she sees all the physical parameters and numbers. Upon reaching Kagami, the girl was surprised, as his parameters were off the charts. After looking around at everyone, she wondered if Kuroko was here. Not seeing him, Riko said to start training. But then a guy came up to her and said that he was Kuroko and had been standing here since the beginning. While riding in the shuttle bus, Riko wondered who this Kuroko was. His parameters are too low and that's his limit. There is no way he could be the main player of such a strong team. Kagami was playing basketball on the playground. But then Kuroko noticed and was surprised. Kagami told Kuroko that he didn't want to play for fun. He wants to play a serious game that will allow him to grow up. He had heard about Kuroko and the extraordinary power of the Wonder Generation. Kagami is good at sensing the possibilities of others. Those who can succeed smell different than others. The weak smell weakness, but Kuroko does. He doesn't smell like anything else. Kagami asked him to show him how strong his generation of wonders is. Kuroko agreed, and they started playing one-on-one basketball. But Kuroko played very poorly. But not being able to withstand such a game, Kagami stopped playing. Leaving, Kagami told Kuroko that he should quit basketball because Kuroko had no basketball talent. But Kuroko contradicted him. He said that he loves basketball, and he disagrees with Kagami. Kuroko doesn't care who is strong and who is weak. The next day was practice. The freshmen had to play the seniors. The freshmen realized that the seniors were very good and had no chance of winning. But the game went on and on. After Kuroko started playing with them, the game went better. The seniors were surprised to think he was using his stealth to pass, almost never keeping the ball to himself, as if making himself even more invisible. More accurately, he doesn't rely on his stealth. Meanwhile, the difference became 1 point. After training, Kagami went to eat. As he sat down at the table, Kagami realized that Kuroko was sitting next to him. Kagami asked, where did he come from? And what was he doing here? Kuroko replied that he sat here first. Kagami told him to sit somewhere else, because if anyone saw them together they would think they were friends. To which Kuroko replied that this was his usual seat. Kagami sighed and shared his burger with Kuroko, and said that he didn't like the clumsy ones. But the burger he earned today. The next day, Kagami was playing basketball on the court again. He kept thinking about yesterday's plot with Kuroko about the Wonder Generation, and he decided that he would crush them all and become the best player in Japan. At school, Kagami went up to Junpei and asked if he could play. But the team captain said it was too early for him to play. He wasn't a member of the team yet. Kagami decided to approach his coach. He asked Riko to give him a form for an official introduction. The girl asked, "What kind of day is it today?" Did he need a form, too? After all, a little earlier, Kuroko had come up to her and asked for an official introduction form, too. She said they were both pretty good and handed out the entry form. Taking the form, Kagami asked, can he play in the matches now? But Riko stopped him, saying that she would accept it Monday at 8:40 on the roof. The next day came. The basketball club gathered on the roof of the school. Kagami had completely forgotten that they had a meeting on Monday, and it would start in 5 minutes. So he asked Riko to finish it quickly. But Riko said it wasn't that easy, because she had made a promise that the only goal of the team would be the national championship. And if they're not ready for that, there are plenty of other clubs. But now she wants to see something more valuable from them. She wants to see if they have goals and the will to achieve them. And she asked them to state their year, class, and name. Let them state their goals here and now. She expects them to have specific and meaningful goals. Kagami said it wasn't a challenge at all and did it first. And then everyone took turns doing the same thing. But when it came to Kuroko, the teachers started breaking in on the roof. And the teacher started telling them off. He said that Riko had made a promise that it wouldn't happen again. Kagami once again came to eat at the same place where he had been the last time. As he sat down at the table, Kagami saw that Kuroko was already sitting there. Kagami asked Kuroko, "What? Is there a reason why Kuroko is playing?" To which Kuroko said that his last team had a motto, "Only winning matters." By throwing in a team game, they developed personal qualities that allowed them to always win. No one could beat them, but they weren't a team. Kagami asked that he wanted to overpower them by going his own way. Kuroko replied that he did, because Kagami's words and his coach's words struck a chord with him. Now more than anything, he wants to try to make their team the best in Japan, too. Everyone came to practice again. Then a guy ran into the locker room and said that the coach was back and they were going to have a friendly game. The captain asked who they were going to play. The guy said he didn't know, but the coach was jumping up and down. The team captain was very surprised and told everyone to get ready. If Riko is bouncing around, it means that they are in for a really tough opponent. Some guy came into the school gate. Meanwhile, the team started practicing, and the mysterious guy was watching them. Riko called everyone to her and told them that they were waiting for a friendly game against Kaijo High School. This year the Kaijo were taken over by Kai's Ritu's generation of wonders. Everyone was terrified. Kai's works as a model. Kagami said it wasn't fair, because he looked good and played well. But that Riko saw a huge crowd of girls. She saw Kai's and wondered what he was doing here. Kuroko said it was good to see him again. Kai's said he was, too. The team captain asked what he was doing here. Kai's replied that when he heard that their opponents would be Seirin, he remembered that Kuroko had gone there and decided to come say hello. But then he noticed a ball flying at him and deftly stopped it. It was Kagami. He apologized for covering their little reunion. But did Kai's really come all this way just to greet them? Kagami asks if he wants to play a little game with him. Kai's takes him up on his offer. Kuroko said that he greatly underestimated Kai's. It's been a few months today before they parted ways. But the miracle generation is developing much faster than he expected. Kai's asks to give them Kuroko. Kai's approaches Kuroko and says, join them. Kai's has great respect for Kuroko, but he doesn't want him to waste his talent. But Kuroko declined his offer. Kai's said it wasn't like him. Why didn't Kuroko go to a stronger team? Kuroko said that since his views have changed, he made a promise to Kagami. He promised him that they would defeat the Wonder Generation. The school turned out to be huge. Then Kai's ran up to the team and said that the school was pretty big, so he decided to meet them. Kai's immediately approached Kuroko and said that after he turned down his offer he had cried all night. Kai's wants to know more about the man Kuroko made such a promise to. When they got to the gym, they realized that they were going to play in the half of the field. Coach Takuchi came up to them and said hello, and that they hadn't made any special preparations for today's game. This is not the kind of game where players watching from the bench could learn anything worthwhile. Nevertheless, they will play with the main roster. The coach hopes they won't let them get to a triple-digit score. Meanwhile, the coach came up to Kisa and asked, why is he wearing a uniform? After all, he's not playing. If the coach puts Kai's on the field, it stops being a game. The practice game begins. After scanning one of the Kai's players, Riko realized that she was not happy with the situation. They are strong. Kagami scored 1 goal, thus breaking the ring. Kuroko apologized to the coach and said they couldn't play here now, and they started to play the whole field. They continued the game, and Kai's entered the field. And Riku, looking at Kai's, realized again that he was a real monster. The match was in full swing. Kuroko went up to the captain, saying he needed a timeout. This kind of speed is wearing him down a lot. The harder Kagami plays, the harder Kai's responds. In a situation like this, they will spend a lot of effort to let them go and it will only get worse. The captain thought Kuroko was talking more than usual. Could it really be worse than he thought? Looking at the score, he realized that it seemed to be. And apparently their coach thinks so, too. They called a timeout afterwards. Meanwhile, Seirin's team began to develop a new strategy. Kuroko said that Kai's had one weakness. Kai's said the same thing about Kuroko. But Kuroko himself isn't sure it can be called a weakness. They have one problem because of the unexpectedly fast game. Kuroko can't disappear as effectively. He can't disappear for more than 40 minutes. Riko was very angry with Kuroko, asking why he hadn't told her about it earlier. And she thought to herself that it was stupid to think that they could use such an idiotic strategy without any risk. In the meantime, timeout was up. The game began again. In basketball, strategy building is not as important as the physique of the players. It's a sport of size. The difference between their teams is too great. Kagami told Kisa that if he can't win, so much the better. They're just getting started. Doesn't Kai's think it's a little early to claim victory? Besides, now they know his weakness. After all, Kai's weakness is Kuroko. Everyone was surprised at Kai's weakness. He said it was true that he couldn't copy the game for class. But what difference does it make? Meanwhile, the end of the first quarter was announced. There was a 2-minute break. Kagami said that changes everything. By the middle of the game, Kai's will be sobbing. The difference was 8 points. In the meantime, Team Kids was being told off again by the coach. Kai's sat very puzzled. Riko told her team that Kuroko was their key to victory. The game continued again. The teams took turns putting the ball in the ring. The gap was now 10 points. Kai's noticed that something had changed in Kagami. Kagami drove the ball, and Kai's followed him. But then Kagami and Kuroko circled Kai's. Kagami passed the ball to Kuroko, who gave it to him again, but only behind Kai's back. And the Seirin got a point. The difference was 8 points. Seirin catches up with Kai's. Seirin is on the heels of Kai's. The gap is 5 points. Kagami stops holding the ball. He starts passing it to Kuroko. A one-on-one pass from Kuroko and Kagami. Two strong, but separate components of their attack. That's why they are limited. When they started to pass to each other, however, they removed these limitations and the strength of their attack increased greatly. Kai's inability to copy Kuroko's game is the basis of Seirin's game. Even Kai's can't react when the invisible man comes at him from behind. Kai's tried to throw the ball into the ring, but Kagami blocked it. Kuroko closed from below, but Kagami covered from above. Running after the ball, Kai's accidentally hit Kuroko, and he fell down. He hurt himself badly and was bleeding. They immediately brought a first aid kit and put Kuroko down. But without the duo of Kagami and Kuroko, the score difference will only grow. What will they do? After all, the Trigger O won't be able to play anymore now. Riko says he knows this, but Team Seirin will try to pull it off with whoever is left. Without Kuroko, the Seirin aren't as strong, but their attack isn't bad. They make good use of the abilities of their number 4, the captain. There's a minute and a half left in the second quarter. Seirin has no strength left. Kuroko couldn't stand it, got up and went to play. But Riko tried to stop him. Kuroko said he couldn't lie down like that and Riko let him go to the court. Kuroko went back out on the court. Kai's was very worried about him. After Kuroko returned, Seirin finally caught up with Kai's. The team's score was now 82. Enraged, Kai's began to play differently. Kai's was stronger than they thought. He said he didn't want to lose. No one, not even Kuroko. There were 2 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game. The teams were tied again. And in the final seconds, Seirin took the lead, beating Keijo by 2 points. Team Seirin won. The whole team of Seirin was jubilant. They had won. Kai's was very upset about his loss. After all, he had lost for the first time. In the meantime, they summed up by saying that Seirin's team won with a score of 198. The teams shook hands goodbye. Kai's went out into the courtyard to get a drink of water. At that moment a guy came up to him and said that he thought he had really lost. It was Midorima. Mindalina said that Kai's was just unlucky. No surprise, luck just got on the other side. Kai's said he was glad to meet him, because they hadn't seen each other since high school. Kai's asked what difference does it make if he scores them one by one. Midorima said that was his weakness. Scoring the ball from the zone is easy. Doing the same thing from afar is much harder. Midorima always gives his all. Kai's asked that maybe Kuroko should have talked to him instead. Midorima said that a blood type 3 like his never gets along with a blood type 2 like Kuroko's. He doesn't recognize his style of play, even though they respect him. Sasaki Clinical Hospital. Team Seirin went to the hospital to check on Kuroko. Walking out of the doctor's office together, Riko said everything was fine. Everyone exhaled. Everyone decided to eat together before going home. But it turned out that they didn't have any money, but that Riko saw a steak ad, and they decided to go there. After all, if they ate it in 30 minutes, they could avoid paying, and if they didn't make it in time, they would pay 10,000 yen. As they left the diner, Kuroko saw Kai's. Kai's was waiting for him as he wanted to talk. But when everyone else finished eating, they didn't find Kuroko. Kai's inquired about Kuroko's head. He said he'd seen Midorima, and said that his left hand was no joke at all. But it looks like he just came to watch the game. Kai's wanted to ask Kuroko why he disappeared right after the high school finals. Meanwhile, Seirin's team was looking for Kuroko, and then Kagami saw Kuroko with Kai's. Kuroko told Kisa that after the championship game, he had questions about Teiko's politics. He felt they were losing something. Kai's said that winning is the most important thing in sports. What could be more important? Kuroko said he had thought the same thing until last. Although he didn't know what the problem was, he knew for sure at that moment that he hated basketball. But Kagami had a different attitude toward basketball, and that appealed to Kuroko a lot. Kai's replied that if Kuroko thought so well of Kagami just from his attitude toward basketball, then one day the day will come when their paths will diverge. Today he realized that his talent was still growing. Kagami has a unique ability. For now, he is still an inexperienced contender. However, the day will come when he will reach the level of a generation of wonders and outgrow the entire team. When that happens, Kuroko, surely he won't be a completely different person. But then Kagami intervened. But they were interrupted by a showdown on the sports field. But Kuroko intervened in the showdown. He said they weren't playing fair, it wasn't basketball. And also, violence is bad. Then the goons said they'd solve everything with basketball. And then Kagami and Kai's showed up, asking if it was okay if they joined in. 5-on-3 would suit them. And they started playing. The trio easily outplayed the 5 goons. But after that, Kagami started counting Kuroko out. Kuroko shouldn't have interfered in their showdown. He could have been beaten. Kuroko said that he thought these guys were terrible. He just wanted to tell them that. When Kai's left, Kuroko decided to ask Kagami something. He asked if he had heard their conversation with Kai's about the divergent paths. Kagami said that, first of all, they weren't really friends. And second, Kuroko himself said that he couldn't do it alone. If he's right, there's nothing to worry about. Besides, Kuroko is always out of the light. That's his basketball. To which Kuroko said that sometimes Kagami says very profound things. They went back to their team, and they all decided to go home together. After yesterday's game, the whole team really wanted to go to bed for class. Playing with Wonder Generation is very exhausting. After class, Riko got the whole team together and asked them to buy some food. Every month on the 27th, a limited batch of special sandwiches are brought into their cafeteria. They overpowered Kai's and the training paid off. They asked to buy some food to support the impulse. They are not the only ones targeting it. Riko held out envelopes to Kagami, telling him that the second-year students were paying. At the same time, they would buy lunch for the others. If they couldn't make it, the captain would triple their training. And they all rushed to the cafeteria. It was chaos in there, but they had to cope. After all, tripled training would kill them. Kagami tried to break through the crowd, but he failed. So someone on the team suggested that they all act together, but they still failed. But then they were interrupted by Kuroko and told that he had already bought in. The crowd carried him away and threw him into the first row, where he took the bun and put the money down. Everyone was shocked, because the Ghost 6 player is in a completely different league. Some time later, the one-year team has brought Riko the right amount of buns, and Riko responded by giving them juice and telling them they could eat. The captain was given the results of the draw. In the first part of the qualifiers, they play toss-up. If you lose, you're out. The winner of each block goes to the Tournament of Champions. The top 3 teams from the tournament advance to the championship tournament. Only the top 1% will qualify for tournaments. Qualifiers are 3 weeks away. Last year they stumbled one step short of their goal, but this year they will definitely make it. Their biggest opponent is the Shotoku team. They were a national 8 that year. Plus, they, like Kai's, have a Wonder Generation player. If Seirin doesn't beat them, they won't make it to the championship. They will only meet Wonder Generation in the deciding game. Kuroko said that, like Kai's said, the other 4 are on a different level altogether. And if they have also grown, Kuroko is afraid to imagine how strong they are. Riko, meanwhile, went to see their first opponents. As they walked in, Riko said she didn't think they had to worry about Shotoku. With such an opponent in one game. Their opponent's name is Papa Mumbi Sick. In the future it will just be called Father. Riko built everyone up and said he's not just tall. He has long arms and legs. Every year more and more schools invite foreign students to strengthen their sports teams. Their opponent, the school, Sinkware, was a typical middleweight last year, but with the arrival of this player has become a very different team. No one reaches as high as he does, so no one is able to stop him. And today, Kuroko and Kagami will have their own training program. The tournament starts on May 16th. After the team, Seirin started practicing a lot. The day had come when they would face this fearsome player. As they entered the court, father crashed into something. When he lowered his eyes, he saw Kuroko and told him that children were not allowed on the court. But later he realized that he was also a player. The whole team, Seirin really laughed at the situation, and Kuroko said he was starting to annoy him. The match began. Father didn't give Kagami a pass in any way. But after a while, father's accuracy suddenly dropped. There was no way he could hit the basket. Now it wasn't easy for Seirin to increase the score because father wouldn't let Kagami play. Even if Kagami can't reach, there is another way. Mitobe's way. All the time before this match, Kagami trained with Mitobe every day. Kagami learned firsthand how to stop someone bigger than him. A block is not the only way to stop a shot. Kagami can force a player to miss. And now Kagami was using the same technique he had used in training. He pressed his father to make it uncomfortable for him to throw. Seirin scored right after the throw-in. That's 2 dunks in a row. And this is only the first round of sectionals. And Kuroko was still very angry about father's words when he called the Wonder Generation children. Now they had a break. Starting the game together with Kuroko, the Seirin will slacken a bit in the middle, so you can't let Shinkaio eliminate the gap. Other than father, they don't have any strong players. In the end, they almost stopped scoring points after Kagami shut down father. After starting the game, father immediately put the ball in the basket. But the next time Kagami scored the point, one of Shinkaio's teammates asked father not to fuss. Father kept trying to throw the ball into the basket, but Kagami wouldn't let him. He kept jumping higher and higher. This is amazing. Kagami didn't just stop father from playing, he completely outplayed him. Apparently, the training paid off. Shinkaio hits a 3-pointer. Now the difference is 10 points. Nothing has been decided yet. Riko thought they couldn't close the gap, so she asked Kuroko, will he come out for the last 5 minutes? To which Kuroko replied that yes, he's been ready for a long time. So Kuroko went on the field. The captain said not to weaken the defense until the very end. But the opposing team isn't going to lose either. Kagami stopped father's shot, and the game was declared over. The Seirin have won. The score was 67-79 in favor of Seirin. The team thanked each other for the game. That's how Seirin overcame the first round of qualifiers. For Game 2, they went up against Jitsuzan. In this game, they soon played the whole game and crushed them 118-51. Next up was a game against King High School. Surprisingly, it went easily for Seirin. And they even managed to save Kuroko in this match. But really, Kuroko really wanted to play. Now they were waiting for stage 4. The team came by and told them that for once they would have to work hard. They're playing Seirin today. Kagami recognized them as the goons they had beaten on the court. The opposing team recognized them, too. This was the 4th round for Seirin was against Majors. Seirin crushed them by a score of 108-41. After the match, the team captain said that there are 3 schools in Tokyo that have come to the Tournament of Champions for the last 10 years. King of the East Shotoku, King of the West Senshiken, and King Seihan of the North. They are evenly matched. The winners change every year, but they haven't allowed anyone to rise above 4th place either. After Game 5, Seirin will face the semifinals and finals. In the final, they will most likely be waiting for Shotoku. Someone said they were coming. Everyone turned around. Riko told the freshmen to get ready. Tonight they're in for an entertaining spectacle. The Shotoku game has started. They have a great command of the basics, passing, receiving, and throwing the ball in. Everything looks easy just because of the good fundamentals. But that's just the base. That reason is different for them. Very reliable scorer. Kuroko has never seen Midorima miss a shot. Midorima threw the ball from outside the zone. Few people can feel the ring at that distance. After the throw, with the ball still out of bounds, Midorima told Takao that they were coming back, they had to defend. Midorima never misses. He gets back on defense before the attack is over. By doing so, he cuts off all possibilities for a counterattack. Midorima hits the target again. The score is 153-21 in favor of Shotoku. And their match is over. Riko brought Seirin out and said they have 2 games on the 4th day and 2 on the last day. The 5th starts at 5 p.m. semifinals and finals on the same day, so there will be another game before Shotoku. In the semifinals, they'll face Now, and in the final of the day, Behind the day in the Seirin plays with two kings. At school, Riko asked Kagami and Kuroko to help with the boxes. In the box were the supplies of this year's and last year's games, which were lying in the club room. They need to be looked at by Seirin. Will have to play in a row with two kings. There is never much analysis in a situation like this. The next day the whole team of Seirin watched the discs together. Of course, none of them were expecting an easy walk, but as they went along it would be quite hard. Then the captain called out to everyone and said he had an idea. Seirin trained on the same court as the opposing team, Seiho. One of the team, he said Seijo would turn out to be quite ordinary. Riko said they were small for a national level team. In the section of their locker room, the Seihon started discussing Seirin's team. They said that the seniors seemed to be getting stronger, and they should keep an eye on Kagami. Meanwhile, in Seirin's locker room, Riko was trying to get them in the right frame of mind. The start of the block of semifinals between Seirin and Seiho High Schools was announced. The game began. Kai's was surprised that Seirin's score was still 0. Even in their game, they noticed that Seirin was taking a long time to harness. Kagami is the only one raring to go, but they can't start without him. During the timeout, Riko said that Seijo is using ancient martial arts techniques. More specifically, they use moves from ancient martial arts. One of those movements is complicated running. Seiho is an unusual team. You complement the difficult running by not using other effort-saving techniques. This is the essence of Seiho. After a timeout, Kagami scored 1 point. Finally the game started. Seijo's passes are not like that. When they receive the ball, they give it away quickly. They're fast. They don't make any unnecessary movements. It's like they give the ball away before they receive it. Kai's thought Seirin would break up after Kagami's dunk, but something doesn't work out so well for them. No one becomes a king by only being able to defend. Seijo doesn't have scorers like Kai's or Kagami, but they also play differently. They use their ancient martial arts on offense as well. Seiho is not a team of geniuses. They are a team of specialists. Kai said to Kuroko that Seirin has a couple of specialists too. Right now the difference is 9 points in favor of Seiho. Seirin are closed the whole game, and they are left with only such obvious passes. But that Kuroko passed an inconspicuous pass. Seijo didn't expect that. Seijo's iron wall of defense never seems to have met the pass from behind. Seirin wakes up. A fierce game began. Team Seirin scored a 3-pointer. The end of the first quarter was announced. The quarter ended in a tie. During the break, team captain Seijo said that Seirin are strong, and that his team should not consider them weaker by any means. Do not underestimate them. The game started again and Seiho started defending even harder. The best defense in Tokyo is now working at full strength. But the Seirin are not so easy either. The Seirin's actions have become more coordinated. But still, they were too sweaty for the second quarter. That seems to be what Seijo wants. Seijo's team started to act sneaky. They slowed down, and Kagami decided to take advantage of that, which he later regretted. There was a foul on offense. One more foul and that was it. That's what Seijo was counting on. And Kagami and Kuroko decided to substitute, because it had been decided before the game started. They should have played only the first half. They made that decision because their next match would be against Midorima, and they would need a lot of energy for the next game. Seirin made a substitution, and the tense game continued. Reiko said Izuki can see. He has an eagle eye. He can change his point of view in his head. Because he looks from all angles, he sees the whole court. They each have a different skill. Kagami can throw from any position. He's not very accurate, though. Tsuchida's good at rebounding. The teams have 6 points difference in favor of Seijo, and only 5 minutes left. Seirin decided to make a substitution since Kagami was injured. Kuroko came on the field. The score was 58-64 in favor of Seirin. Seirin again made their magic pass. Team captain Seijo didn't know what was going on. The passes are quite strong, and also with their help, the players slip through their defense. Seirin is outplayed by Seijo. The score was 70-69 in favor of the Seirin. The Seirins finally caught up with them, but they didn't have much time left. In the final seconds, the Seirin got the upper hand. The game was over with a score of 73-71 in favor of the Seirin. The whole team cheered. At this time, Shotoku also finished their game, with a score of 113-38 in favor of Shotoku. No one expected Seirin to make it, and the game between Seirin and Shotoku is 10 minutes away. Midorima didn't miss once today. He didn't slack off in practice and his left arm was bandaged as usual. Midorima did the best he could. The teams took the court and began discussing their strategies. Shotoku couldn't believe to the end that the Seirin would make it this far. But it didn't matter to Shotoku. Seirin doesn't need to worry about stuff. They have to concentrate on their goal. They have to give their best. Seirin can't lose. The block a qualifying game between Shotoku and Seirin begins. The teams wished each other good luck, and the final game begins. Kagami was about to throw the ball into the ring, but Midorima knocked it out of his hands at the last moment. Neither team could score any points right now. In basketball, the game lasts 40 minutes. It is divided into 4 10-minute quarters. Usually the course of the game is changed at least 3 times. If the opponent has gained control of the game, it's very difficult to intercept it in the same quarter. And Shotoku and Seirin have been playing almost 2 minutes at 0. And in such a situation, the one who got 1 point will get the first quarter. And Midorima scored 1 point. Shotoku opened the scoring. Now Shotoku has control. But the Seirin don't intend to give up that easily either. They don't intend to give them the quarter that easily. Seirin instantly responded to Midorima's attack. The whole stand was in shock. Thanks to Kuroko, the flow of the game didn't change. This game is still just beginning. Kuroko closed down Midorima with his pass. Midorima's team returns to defense while the ball is flying into the net, and that helps against the run and gun strategy. But not everyone comes back. In case of a miss, someone is left for the rebound. The whole problem is the trajectory of the ball. If Midorima has time to come back, so does Kagami. And thanks to the extraordinary speed of the pass, you can counterattack in time. That's why Midorima can't throw now. But Shotoku answers Seirin. But Shotoku manages it and puts the ball in the net. Meanwhile, Shotoku swaps positions. Takao will guard Kuroko. But no matter how fast Takao is, it won't help him against Kuroko. But Midorima knows exactly what Kuroko can do, and Kagami's quickness will figure it out. Takao is also strong in passes, just like Kuroko. Kuroko wanted to pass the ball, but it was intercepted by Takao. This is the first time Kuroko has made a mistake. Kuroko's disappearance doesn't work with Takao. The score is 8-11 in favor of Shotoku. Seirin is asked to call timeout. It's amazing, Takao can keep track of Kuroko. Riko had no idea this could happen. The reason Midorima dislikes Kuroko, whom he respects, is that Kuroko chose to bury himself in a team that can never fully unleash his power. Timeout is over. 2 games in 1 day is tough. Sime are already exhausted and also do not fight the Kings, Shotoku. If they don't let them get away with it, it won't be easy to catch up with them. It's all worth it to control the flow of the game. Kuroko tried to make another pass, but Takao intercepted an interception. Kuroko is completely shut down. Meanwhile, Midorima decided to throw the ball again with his technique, and his high arc Midorima increases his radius. The entire half of the court falls within Midorima's range. Even if the Seirin do nothing, the gap will only grow. Kagami told Midorima that he had something interesting. But Kagami can do that, too. Kagami threw a 3-pointer, too. And he thought to himself, if he can do it, great. And if not, he would help the ball get to the basket himself. And the score was 13-16 in favor of Shotoku. But Midorima's not that easy. He can shoot from anywhere on the court. They called the end of the first quarter, and the break was 2 minutes. Even Kuroko himself has never seen a Midorima shot like that before. Now the Seirin must stop Midorima. But Midorima doesn't just score 3-pointers, he's also fast. Midorima again aimed to throw the ball from long range, and Kagami tried to stop him. But it didn't work for Kagami. That was 3 shots in a row. The score was 15-27 in favor of Shotoku. Seirin seems to have reached their limit. But the Seirin are not going to give up. They continue to fight tooth and nail. Seirin's team was overwhelmed. Everyone sat in silence. The beginning of the third quarter was announced. Everyone came out onto the court. The game began. The score was 27-48 in favor of all of Shotoku. Midorima was about to score again. But Kagami, trying to stop him, touched the ball with his fingers. But it didn't help him anyway. Kagami was jumping higher and higher is what she needs Seirin. They can't lose concentration, or it will be the end. Kagami would win the game with Kai's, but only because of Kuroko. He didn't win on his own. But Kuroko isn't around right now, and Kagami isn't going to lose anyway. He's very determined. Takao tried to stop him, but Kagami knows his weakness and beat him. The farther the throw, the more time it takes to prepare. Kagami tried to thwart Midorima again, and this time he succeeded. Kagami stopped Midorima, but Seirin had a new headache in the form of Otsube Teisuk. Riko was counting on Kagami, replacing Kuroko along with Kagami, to be able to stop Midorima. But with this guy she doesn't know what to do. Teisuk doesn't give Seirin a pass. Kai's realized that when Kagami made that winning shot, the ability to put up against a generation of wonders and one of basketball's greatest moves is his hidden ability, innate leaping power. Kagami completely blocked Midorima's shot. Now Shikoto has another weakness. On throws, Shikoto and from afar, Seirin's ring is much closer if the opponent can put up a block. That's a great opportunity for a counterattack. The score was now 34-53 in favor of Shotoko. Kagami has decided to become strong enough to win on his own and not rely on anyone else. But if Kagami continues like this, Kuroko has a bad feeling about this. Meanwhile, the gap has become less than 10 points. Seirin keeps closing the gap. With such a difference, the game is not yet decided. Trying to stop Midoriya's throw again, Kagami realized that his leg was hurting, his body not yet ready for such jumps. He overextended himself as he jumped all over the court. The end of the third quarter was announced. Kagami, during a timeout, said a lot of unnecessary things to his team and got punched in the face by Kuroko for it. Kagami can't play basketball by himself. He himself said he wants to defeat the Wonder Generation, but he acts exactly like them. Even if they beat Shotoko with a team where no one trusts each other, then no one will be happy. Kagami was very angry right now, and hitting Kuroko back. He said that if they didn't lose, it would just be pretty words. So what does winning mean, then? After all, it doesn't matter how many points they score by the end of the game. If no one is happy, it's not a win. Now, after Kuroko calmed Kagami down, the situation hadn't changed. And then Kuroko said they could do something. Kuroko can't do anything but pass, but he can take it to another level. The score was 47-61 in favor of Shotoko with only 10 minutes left in the game. The fourth quarter began. Kuroko's shot cooled Kagami off a bit, but he had almost no energy left. Midoriya wanted to throw the ball from long range, but Kagami stopped him. Midoriya was very surprised because Kagami was already completely exhausted. How could he still jump? Meanwhile, the score was 51-61 in favor of Shotoko. The difference was 10 points. Now Seirin can barely hold Kagami, but they don't stand a chance if Midoriya starts throwing. But he won't throw, because while there is a possibility that Kagami will cover him. Thus, Seirin has at least reduced the number of throws, and the rest is left to Kuroko. But if there are no blind spots, then Kuroko's invisibility won't work. What is he planning? Takau's field of vision covers the entire court, so he continues to see Kuroko even if his attention is turned elsewhere. And instead of scattering his attention, Kuroko does the opposite. In other words, he draws attention to himself. Even when closed, Kuroko continues to play as before, so that Takao focuses on him. By capturing his attention, he can redirect it elsewhere. Even if Takao can't find Kuroko, he still knows where Kagami is, as long as he can get in the way of the ball. On Kuroko, he said that he won't be able to do anything this time, because so far he's only changed the direction of the ball, and this pass he will speed up. Kagami can only jump twice in a game, and he has to leave one jump for the decisive moment. And he knows it, but if he doesn't do it now, when will he? Kagami scored. He completely overpowered Midoriya, outmatched him. Almost the end of the game, just 2 minutes left. The difference between the teams is 1 goal. Shotoko called a timeout. Midoriya didn't think Seirin could catch up with them. Then Kuroko recalled that Midoriya had once said that a dunk was only for 2 points. 3 3-pointers is just something. But Kuroko thinks inspired dunks like the ones he scored now, worth a lot more than just 2 points. This is the last timeout. Now Seirin has gained control of the game. But will Shotoko hold on, or will Seirin overpower them? This is the decisive timeout. After the timeout, the game is fierce again. Team Shotoku's trainer made Seirin understand that Kagami could only make 2 jumps now, and he had already spent them. So this was Seirin's distraction. But that's all Rico was waiting for, once it became clear that they were bluffing. That means that Seirin's whole team will always know the addressee and their transmissions. The ending is very cautious. Kai's thought they would be more active, but since Shotoko dropped the tempo, the score didn't change anymore. There was a minute left, then just over half a minute and the gap was 5 points. It was a very tense game. But Seirin forgets a 3-pointer and the gap becomes 2 points. And there are 18 seconds left. This is Seirin's last chance. Shotoko will do everything they can to prevent a 3-pointer. But if Seirin doesn't score a 3-pointer, it will be the end. But in the final seconds, Seirin scores. But Midoriya does not intend to give up. In the last seconds, Midoriya decides to throw the ball from long range. Kagami tries to stop him, but in the last seconds, Midoriya does a feint. But Kuroko comes to the rescue, knocking the ball out of Midoriya's hands. The Seirin win. The game is over. After such a game, the Seirin were very tired. They decided to go to a restaurant nearby and saw Kiss and his mate there. But later Midoriya and Takao came there, and it turned out that Midoriya, Kai's, Kuroko, and Kagami were sitting at the same table. Midoriya asked Kai's that he lost to them, too. Kai's replied that, of course, he was going to take revenge at the championship. He won't lose next time. After all their arguments, Mindrina told Kagami that there are 2 players from the Wonder Generation in Tokyo. himself and a guy named Aomine Daiki. Kagame will meet him at the Tournament of Champions, and his style of play is similar to Kagame's. After paying for his food, Midorima left. Having achieved a place in the Tournament of Champions, the Seirin overcame the difficult qualifiers and continued training. However, Kagami could not play yet because of his legs. The Seirin went to the pool and practiced there under Riko's command. After the workout, Riko announced a 1-minute break. The girl came out to them. Kuroko immediately recognized Momohi. Momoi herself said that she was Kuroko's girlfriend but couldn't wait for the tournament, so she came here. But Kuroko said that she wasn't his girlfriend, she was his manager from high school. Trying to deflect attention away from Momoi, Riko punched the captain in the face as well, so that he fell into the pool. Upon seeing this, Momohi cried out and said that she would kill Hugo, too. Then Hugo wondered if she knew his name. Momohi replied that she knew them all. After practice, Kagame decided to go to the basketball court. To practice, Guess was going to shoot the ball into the hoop. He realized he couldn't jump, but that guy called him over and told him he played with it. He wanted to look at it. To which, as they responded, he didn't like guys who offered to play, but didn't introduce themselves. And this guy introduced himself. He said his name was Aomine Daiki. Daiki doesn't want a serious fight right now, he just wants to see how Kagame plays. Daiki isn't looking for a non-existent kind of player who's stronger than him. He just wants to see how much Kagame can dispel his boredom. To which Kagame responds that Wonder Generation is just full of people who annoy him. But Daiki pisses him off the most. Left alone, Kuroko and Momohi had a conversation. The girl said that she would prefer Aomine to play with Kuroko. Daiki began to play basketball on her own, shutting herself off from the team. She thought losing would change him, but he didn't lose. Kuroko said he knew Daiki was a selenium, but he will not fight him alone. He promises the girl that he will defeat the Daiki. Starting his fight, Daiki told Kagame that Kuroko would stop harder or weaker depending on the brightness of the light, and Kagame's light is too dim. Ima finally dropped in on his team for practice, but he didn't come to practice at all. They told him they would confiscate his magazine if he left it here, so he came to get it. And now he's leaving. Daiki turned out to be a real scumbag. He told his team to pester him when they could outdo him. When Ima left, the team captain made an example of Wakamatsu. He said that Tiger had won many victories by sending the ball too far, so they had to widen the field and impose restrictions to reduce his advantage. Same thing with Shaq. He was already too powerful to stop his opponent. You had to play him extremely rough. In order not to kill the game by overfouling, the defense had to introduce the 3-second zone rule. In the world of sports, sometimes when one player is too powerful, they change the rules of the game because of him. It's rare, of course, but it happens. That kind of power is like cheating. Riko said that all the schools that are in the Tournament of Champions have been determined, such as Block A is Seirin, Block B is Tao Academy, Block C is Massey, and Block D is Sensenkan. These 4 schools will compete for the right to represent their region. Until last year, Tokyo represented itself with 3 kings. Tao's history is not impressive, but lately they've been very serious about their personnel policy. They're recruiting promising athletes from all over the country. Over the past few years, their level has risen and they're now quite comparable in strength to Shotoku. Then Kagame walked in, and Riko knew right away that he'd been playing yesterday. She was very angry with him because his legs hadn't recovered yet, so she told him to walk all the way to the infirmary on his hands. Kuroko went with him, and on the way, Kuroko asked what happened to him. Meanwhile, Riko announced that their first opponent would be Tao, and Kagame confessed to Kuroko that he was playing with Ima, and Ima told Kagame that he was a light to Kuroko. Kagame got the feeling that Kuroko and Ima were not easy teammates, and he asked what happened to them in Teikou. Kuroko said that everyone from the Miracle Generation started out as ordinary players. Daiki, however, opened up early, and stronger than the others, and that only brought him unhappiness. He stopped enjoying the game of basketball. And then the others began to change, too. After winning the championship in year 3, Kuroko left the team. Today will be a decisive game. It's not long now. The Tournament of Champions. Kagame's legs have also recovered. Now he is determined to go only for victory. Shotoku also came to watch this game, but Ima still hasn't come yet. Momohi went to call him. When asked where he was now, Ima said he was at school. In the meantime, all the teams entered the field. Kagame asked where Ima was. He was told that the selfish bastard was late. They themselves were without him like they were without hands. But he said he'd be up by the second half. Tao said it would be like a warm-up before Ima came. Seirin decided to score as many points as they could while they had the chance. The game started, but it was not so easy for Seirin, because this game could not be called a warm-up. These Tao guys were very good, But what will happen when Ima comes? Tao said that the comparison with Daiki, they were just childish. Captain Tao made a good point, saying that he had all heard that the Seirin had decided to score as many points as they could while Daiki was gone. But the captain said he just misspoke, because playing them was a warm-up game compared to Daiki. The score, meanwhile, was 10-4 in favor of Tao. Rico didn't expect them to be this strong either. If they play like this without a dike, they're definitely screwed with him. But Tao doesn't care about team play at all, somewhat coordinated with each other. And so the defense is always one-on-one. They get the ball themselves, they score by themselves. Everyone is on his own. Seirin's individualism and Tao's coordination. Well, now we'll see which is better. Kai's also came to see Seirin play, and he saw Midorima there. Midorima said that Ima wasn't there yet, but that Seirin was already barely hanging on. To which Kai said that they would warm up soon, because the game was just starting. But Midorima reminded them that Tao also has Momoi, because she's not just a manager. She helped them many times in high school. In other words, if she is their opponent, wins is unusually difficult. She will never want to succumb to a lesson. Her role may be different, but her attitude toward basketball does not depend on the players. Purposely, Momoi never loses. Kagami, noticing Momohi, told Kuroko that she was cute. To which Kuroko replied that she's cute until she plays. The Taos are good at defending themselves. Everyone goes right back to their side. Tao does not let Seirin attack in any way. Tao has already seen Seirin's movement and knows that Kagami's throwing distance is short. In other words, Momoi has fully studied them. Momoi is an information gathering specialist. She's a spy, but no matter how good the information is, it's already outdated. Still, it turns out Momohi is much more cunning. She had it all figured out. Normally, when someone is faced with a game for which they have no information, they can't run it. However, Momoi analyzes the information she gathers and can even figure out where her opponent will develop. Their height, weight, strengths, weaknesses, character, hobbies. She collects it all, analyzes it, combines it, and deduces the result. Meanwhile, the score was 21-15 in favor of Tao. But Momoi could never read Kuroko. After the first quarter, their score was 25-21 in favor of Tao. The more information Momoi has, the more accurate the analysis. She studied 2 years all last year, but she has much less information about Kagami and Kuroko. Kuroko is hard to predict at all, and Kagami is still growing. Momoi has little information on Kuroko and Kagami. But that didn't work in the game with Shotoku. Besides, how can a guy who just came out of high school score dunks from everywhere? Seirin builds the game around Kuroko, but thanks to him, the Taos have fully explored all the sophomores. Losing Kagami meant too much. The gap has begun to grow. That's not good. But Kagami was back on the field. And then Ima appeared, and he's ready to play. Taikou Academy made a substitution. Ima Daike took the field. Even the most ordinary basketball player like Sayatni can tell he's different. You don't even need special eyes like a coach to do that. Kagami hadn't even met anyone in America that's strong. Kuroko's high school partner, one of the 5 geniuses, Ace Wonder Generation. Not only were the Seirin not able to take the lead, but they were also 10 points behind. Daiki showed up at the worst possible moment. The game began. Shotoku noticed that Tao's team had a very strange formation. Aren't there too many people on one side? To which his partner replied that that was the idea. This isolation is to give the best player the freedom to play. The others gather on one side of the court. There are all a few reasons for this game, but here it looks exactly as it seems. In other words, it's a one and done between the aces of both teams. But Ima turned out to have very fast speed, and he was able to get around Kagami easily and unforced. But Kagami didn't let him put the ball in the ring. He overtook him in the second that it took Ima to faint. The second quarter was over. The third quarter would start after the 10-minute break. Wakamatsu was very angry with Ima because he was very arrogant. To which his captain said that there are a lot of arrogant athletes among top-class athletes. If you look at it negatively, it's arrogance and arrogance. But if viewed positively, it is the extreme self-confidence that has come after many victories. Let Wakamatsu not misunderstand Imishi. He does not scold Ima or support him. As long as Ima is scoring, Imishi doesn't care what kind of character he has. As long as Tao wins, Ima is right. He always thought his team was united by independence. They don't trust each other and they're each on their own. But for some reason he thinks they will lose. Later, Ima confesses to Momoi that he underestimated Seirin, and he wants to start the game as soon as possible. Seirin didn't have a chance to bench Kuroko in the first half, and with Arima, it will be even harder. But if they leave Kuroko on the court, he won't be able to play the rest of the match. But Rico can only rely on their ace's enthusiasm. They decide that they will play without Kuroko in the second half for a while. and the battle will begin in the fourth quarter. The third quarter has started. Playing against Ima without Kuroko will be very difficult. But when Kai's imagines his progress, he feels as if something is going to happen. But Ima is on a completely different level, the Seirin can't even hinder him. When they move, the speed is not always close to maximum. His acceleration from 0 to maximum and his deceleration from maximum to 0. Dexterity is how fast they can change their speed. Even in the Miracle Generation, Ima was superior, but Kagami is not so simple either. The score was now 51-39 in favor of Tao Academy. No matter how fast Kagami wanted to go, he could not break away from the dike. Kagami, they noticed that Ima has begun to look different, but he is beginning to feel Ima's speed and rhythm. This time he should definitely stop him. But Ima stunned everyone by scoring the ball from behind the ring. Dike basketball is not just aggressive, it is overwhelming. Theory doesn't work against him. In all sports, including basketball, basic patterns and movements have been honed over years of history, and because they are perfected, their known limitations can be anticipated. This is what allows the strategic battle between offense and defense to arise. Ima has played basketball for as long as Momoi can remember. He has always played outside with his elders. His ball control and natural speed, unconstrained, no-nonsense style. For him, there is no such thing as a pattern. He is completely unpredictable on defense, an unstoppable scorer, a generation of wonders. Kagami wanted to block Ima from throwing the ball, but even here Dake got around him. He put his body almost parallel to the ground. Usually the best players throw at the most optimal height, but Ima can throw from any point, and he doesn't miss. No Seirin can predict his movements at all. Kagami decided that if he could not surpass Ima in speed, he would surpass him in height. If Dake can't reach him, then he can't stop him. So that's where Ima beat Kagami. Kagami is already very fast, but he still can't catch up with Dake. But is Kagami really that helpless against him? Here Ima said that the only one who can beat him is himself. Kagami won't be able to handle him. Riko realized that they stay at 20 points and can't wait any longer, so she decided to put Kuroko on the field. Now Kuroko is back in the game. Kuroko produced a pass across the field like he did against Shudoku. Kuroko passed the ball to Kagami, but Kagami was followed by Ima. Realizing he couldn't score the ball, Kagami passed it to the captain, and the Seirin got a point. The score was now 59-42 in favor of Tao Academy. Things were different now that Kuroko was on the court, but Ima soon showed that this was not the case at all. The score was now 82-51 in favor of Tao Academy, and the fourth quarter was underway. Riko noticed that Kagami's legs were starting to hurt again, and she decided to make a substitute player. Riko knew that he was afraid to use his injured leg, and shifted the main weight to the healthy one. Riko can't let him keep playing or Seirin will lose him in the remaining 2 games of the tournament. Seirin's defense can't stop Dake, and thanks to Momoi, they know all about their offense. They are playing one goal. No matter what they do, they can't win. The score was 93-53 in favor of Tao Academy. They're 40 points behind us. Dake told Kuroko that it's already decided. Kuroko's special pass didn't work and he had no strength left at all. And the light is gone. Kuroko's invisibility had already stopped working. Now he is worse than any player. But Kuroko stated that it is not over yet. The chance of winning is 0 only when everyone has given up. Kuroko is not going to give up. Everyone fought until the very end, but the gap only widened. On this day, the Seirin were completely defeated. Tao Academy won with a score of 112-55. Takao said that Tao was something. If Seirin lost like that, Shudoku would fly even harder. To which his partner replied that it's not that simple. After all, Kagami is the most uncomfortable opponent for Midorime. But if you compare him to Dake, as Generation Wonders beyond, naturally, beyond competition, Tao was very happy with their victory. The only one who wasn't very happy was Ima. And Seirin still has games with Mise and Seishinkan. And now Seirin has no time to get upset. As a result, Kagami didn't play in the remaining 2 games, and Kuroko had a sudden slump. Even the invisibility that had saved the whole team more than once stopped working. Teikou High School. Kai's came to the gym and invited Kasumatsu to play. While playing with his partner, Kai's thought that even if Kuroko gave it his all, that doesn't mean that every challenger is a winner. Meanwhile, the Seirin lost again. With a score of 86-8, the Seishinkan team won. And so the senior Seirin's interscholastic campaign was over. All was not lost, however. When something ends, something is bound to begin. In other words, a new battle awaits Seirin. Sasaki Clinical Hospital. The doctor told Kagami that it was his physique that caused the damage to his legs. His legs are not yet strong enough to withstand such stresses. Kagami needs more flexibility and endurance training. But before that, 2 weeks of rest. There is nothing worse than training after a loss. The Seirin continued their training as Riko ordered them to increase their training by 3 times. Riko was very worried about them, but during the training she realized that they were the same as always. Yes, and Kuroko seems fine, too. But of course they weren't. Seirin worked so hard, but they never made it to the inter-schools. The boys were completely out of sorts. Then Riko called everyone together and said she was sure they wouldn't want to lose again. After all, it's going to be a cold winter. At first the team didn't understand what Riko was saying, but having said that it's better than high school, defined in the summer qualifiers. After that comes the winter championship, the main tournament of the year, which will determine the strongest team. Winter Bowl, the tournament that Seirin will put everything on. Now it's become clear to them. This is their last chance of the year. After training, the Seirin dispersed, except for Kuroko. He decided to stay and train some more. Then the gym came in, and a guy came in, and he said he'd heard that Kuroko wasn't particularly good at anything except passing. But this guy likes his basketball anyway. Kuroko wasn't wrong. He just hadn't fully revealed himself yet. Kuroko asked him, who is he? And the guy introduced himself, saying his name was Kiyoshi Teppei. He's the founder of the Seirin Basketball Club. Teppei said Kuroko is interesting. Basketball, the game is for all-rounders. It's a sport for guys who can do everything. It's all quite good when it has 5 scorers who have the passing game. But that doesn't always work, so there's separation at the positions, and sometimes there's a narrow specialist on the team as a 6th player. But Teppei has never seen a specialist as special as Kuroko. It's unusual to specialize so thoroughly in one thing. After the talk, the type said goodbye and said they would see each other next week. Teppei returned to the team the following week. He had been in the hospital since last summer. He had to take a long break because of surgery, but now he's fully recovered. His high school basketball career is on the line, and he means it in all seriousness. After the talk, they started practicing. Takao went up to his captain and asked, who is the number 7 guy in Seirin? The captain said he was a center in Seirin last year. For some reason he was absent from the Tournament of Champions. If he was playing, it's unlikely that Shotoku could have defeated them like that. Or maybe Shotoku even lost. Meanwhile, the Seirin were practicing. Kagami played against Teppei. In their match, Kagami won. After Kagami left, Teppei said he was strong. The first years from Seirin played with another team. Teppei insisted on this game because he wanted to see the newcomers. Yesterday Riko said at practice that starting today they will have 3 friendly games. And for the summer break, Seirin has a hell of a workout. And then Teppei asked for one request. But really, Teppei arranged for everyone to lose so that Kagami would realize that he couldn't do it alone. At this point in the game, the score was 28-30 in favor of Team Tokushin. The rookies were much better than Riko expected. And Kuroko's movement isn't bad either, but the score is growing slower than she expected. Is it because the Kurokos don't interact with the taps? In the end, Seirin won with a score of 43-41. After the match, Riko decided to ask Teppei what he was going to do, and what he was doing anyway. What does he want? Teppei said that the game was for Kuroko to learn the limits of his basketball. For one thing, Kuroko uses the strength of the other players. Depending on the rest of the 4, he can be both strong and weak. But on the other hand, he relies on the team. To break through that wall, he needs to give up his style and create a new one. Meanwhile, Kuroko came to Hugo and asked to be replaced by Teppei. But Hugo immediately turned him down, and he said that when the teams first got organized, Teppei was a clumsy center. He was taller than everybody else and therefore better suited for it than anybody else. But his talent was at its best at point guard. Teppei thought he was better for the team if he played center. He himself felt he was limiting himself by being out of position. But if Kuroko really wants to leave the basics, he should talk to Kagami, because he believes in Kuroko. Kagami was training now. Then Kuroko ran up to him and said he wanted to talk to him. Kuroko said that he got a player 6 uniform in high school. Kagami said it was because he was the trump card of the Wonder Generation. But Kuroko said that wasn't exactly true. They believed in him, but they didn't trust him. More specifically, they had learned to trust him. At 1, he was an unremarkable player. He got to the bench in year 2. Back then he believed they trusted him. But as their talent began to reveal itself more and more, they began to lose faith in him. The miracle generation put faith in themselves above everything else. If they were suddenly 1 point behind a few seconds into the game, Kuroko never gave the ball away. They decided everything on their own. The truth is, it wasn't about Kagami at all. Kuroko just wanted to make the Wonder Generation recognize his game. Kagami said he expected something like this. He had always felt that way. Kagami didn't want to get better himself, they had to get better together. Riko said that this summer, at the beginning and end of the vacations, Seirin will have 2 summer camps at the sea and in the mountains. Winter Cup qualification will start right after the vacations. This means that Seirin needs to spend the vacations as efficiently as possible. Seirin arrived at the deer training camp. Riko even brought basketball hoops to the sea. After all, the overall strength of a team consists of the strength of the individual players. If everyone's individual level is low, the overall level will be low. What Seirin needs now is to raise everyone's level. But they don't create a team of individuals. Everyone's strength will be woven into the team. It's as a team that Seirin will win. And since they will be training on the sand, they will be many times more tired. Riko declared training camp open. Fierce training began. After training on the sand, they went to practice in the gym. And they were surprised that they moved much more clearly. Everyone started to move better. These workouts noticeably improved their base. If there's anything more important to their team play, it's each player's understanding of his role. You could call it creating a new style. When trying to learn a new skill, you have to understand yourself first. But Kuroko and the sophomores, they haven't figured that out yet. In the morning, Kagami and Kuroko went to wash up. When they finished their procedures, they met Midorima and Takao there. Shotoku said it was their ancient tradition to come here in the summer for training. Riko said that starting today, in addition to their standard training sessions in the gym, they would also play with Shotoku. But Riko, after calling out to Kagami, would not let him play, telling him to run out and buy something to drink for everyone. After all, his jumping power is a height that keeps growing. No matter what he does. It's not the spirit or the will that's being trained, it's the body. After practice, Midorima and Takao went to the bathroom and there they started discussing Kuroko. Takao said that Kuroko played as usual, nothing special. But he was interrupted by Midorima, who asked if he knew why Kuroko only made 1-touch passes. He did it because he can't take his eyes off the ball. No one takes their eyes off the ball during the game. In other words, Kuroko's invisibility with the ball stops working. Therefore, he never holds it. However, if he does manage this weakness, it would just be a terrible skill. Meanwhile, Kagami came back, and he said he didn't think it was all for food. But he bought drinks for Shotoku, too. Kagami ran a lot more than Riko asked for. You won't see the results yet, but if he continues at the same pace, he will be an amazing player. The end of the game was announced. The score was 82-91 in favor of Shotoku. The coach of the Shotoku team was surprised because they had won all 3 games. Those of Shotoku who played back then should know better than anyone else. Seirin is stronger now than when they lost to them in the qualifiers. And they are so strong without Kagami. That means that Shotoku should be very careful this winter. Kagami decided to play basketball by himself because he was always running around the beach by himself. And when Kagami came back to play, it was always over. Riko asked, didn't he ever notice? And asked him to jump. Kagami jumped above the ring. He was stabbing the dunk strong with his right hand and always pushing off with his left foot. However, he can jump higher if he pushes off with his right foot. In other words, his pushing foot should not be his left foot, but his right foot. The power of the jump. The style that will unleash that power. There is only one answer. A battle in the air is the only thing that will give Kagami a chance against a generation of wonders. Midorima walked past Kagami and told him that he no longer believed in Kagami. After all, he had lost, even before he lost to him. To which, Kagami replied that he would win next time. Midorima said that does he really believe he can beat the dikes in the air? Is a jump all he can think about? Just high jumps won't do the trick, that's only half the answer. It's not a weapon yet. And he offered Kagami a game. Midorima said they play 10 tries, as if I'm in the attack and he's in the defense. If Kagami scores just once, he wins. KGM noticed that the metal movement of us and the dikes are almost the same. On the ground it seems to me equally strong. Kagami jumped again, but Midorima knocked the ball out of his hands. Kagami's jump was better, but he still lost in the air. After the game, Midorima said that no matter how high Kagami jumped, he was still easily covered. This is because of the dunk he would do. Because knowing that Kagami would do the dunk, Midorima had the ability to set up the jump normally. But at the same time, he could throw from the score or from the turn. He could, but only when he's pushing with his left and holding the ball backwards. If the car goes we push with his right foot, he could do it, he could hold it in his left hand. The truth is that he can only do a dunk with his left hand. Compared to his right hand, the left hand I do not know how to play at all. Kagami will be able to overpower a generation of wonders in the air, but he won't be able to deal with them on the ground. Kuroko's transmissions don't work against them. But if Kagami doesn't get them, Seirin won't stand a chance. But Kuroko's new reception is worthy of Kagami and the rest of the team. By learning to pass on the move, at least Kuroko will be able to surpass the Wonder Generation. After much hard training, their camp at sea came to an end. Everyone was going home, but Riko stopped them. After all, today is the 2 quarterfinals of Seirin High School and Taiga Academy, and Seirin go to watch the match. Not even Taiga was late for today's game, for he had waited a long time for this game. After all, Seirin is the one he wants to crush with all his might. The second quarterfinals between Senior Seirin and Taiga Academy begin. The game begins. The Kaiju have the ball. Comparing Kai's and Ima, Kuroko would bet on Ima. Kai's broke through Daiki's defense, but that wasn't the case because Daiki knocked the ball away from him. There was an interception, and now Tao is on the counter. The score was 0-3 in favor of Taiga Academy. Kai's used a quick throw by Ri, to which Ima said that apparently Kai's is just as good at copying others. But that's not enough to win. And as he jumped, he hit the ball, and Kai's didn't get to the basket. Ima was very quick, though he jumped later, but still managed to reach the ball. It's bad enough that Ace Kai's was shut down so quickly. Taiga Academy controls the game. Kai's is not generous enough to give the game away so easily, and Kasamatsu scores a 3-pointer. Now the Kai's are tied. Dake noticed that Kai's was starting to think like Kuroko. Did Kai's really change his mind after the defeat? Kai's replied that he hadn't even thought about it. He acknowledges Kuroko's views, but Kai's doesn't bother thinking about what's right. He just wants to beat Ima. Kai's isn't mature enough to be dominated by instincts in his game at once. When it comes to athleticism, Kai's is not inferior, but Kagami still doesn't believe he can win. Daiki moved very quickly, but Kisa managed to shut him down. But this was not the end. After all, Daiki used a formless throw, but Kai's was no slouch either. He was able to stop him. Kai's did indeed close down Ima. Team Captain Tao was very surprised, because this was the first time he had seen someone be able to close down Daiki one-on-one. Daiki didn't think Kai's would make it, to which Kai's replies that he has forgotten who played one-on-one with him every day. Kai's knows Daiki better than anyone. Kai's can handle Daiki, but Tao has an equally amazing person, Momoi, and her analytical skills. The end of the first quarter has been announced. The score now left 18-13 in favor of the Kai's. The Kai's took the first quarter. Daiki realized that Kai's had gotten stronger, and now he was in trouble. A new quarter began. At the very beginning of the quarter, Tao scored. Now the first points are theirs. Imeoshi told Kasamatsu that it doesn't matter who Daiki plays with, because he doesn't lose. He's the best. Ima reminded Kai's that he said he knows him best. But doesn't Kai's think it's backwards too, right? Daiki is proving to be very strong. Even Kai's can't handle him. Here Captain Towel said, haven't the Kai's figured it out yet? Their Kai's is good at copying, but it doesn't help here. After all, that's the main reason why Kai's can't win. He has no weapons of his own. But then Captain Kai's stepped in for Kai's, saying that Amishi himself doesn't understand. Copying the game and adapting it to yourself is learning. Because of this, Kai's grows. Kai's wanted to copy Kasamatsu's shot, but Daiki stopped him. Meanwhile, the teams were tied at 18-18. But the game was just beginning. But the difference between the teams is too small. Everything will be decided in the ace match. Kai's started to play differently. Daiki noticed this and thought it was one and the same. Of course, this is the only option for Kai's, but attacking is not aggressive enough. All the aggression of the Kai's has gone somewhere. They are very calm, but they are not going to give up. Ayamine outsmarted Kai's and ran to put the ball in the ring, but there was a foul and the shot was not counted. Despite the difference in strength, Kasamatsu didn't dodge. He got a free kick. Kai's realized that Ayamine is unrealistically cool. No one could copy his perfect style. Kai's started playing basketball because he admired it. To copy an ordinary game, Kai's needed to see it once. But no matter how many times he tried, he couldn't copy Ayamine. And the thing is, Kai's knows the reason why. Once admired, someone cannot be beaten. While Kai's wants to win, he subconsciously doesn't want Dake to lose. Kai's tries to copy Ayamine's style. He can only copy what he can do physically. He can't recreate the movements of NBA players or anyone similar. But if Kai's is trying to do something, it means he believes he can. It was the end of the second quarter. The score was 34-43 in favor of Taiga Academy. 10-minute break. After the break, the game continued. Kai's copied a dike move and trying to hold it up, Amishi got a foul. Kai's is not finished yet and there is no way he can match the original. But the progress is much faster than Tao expected. Kai's again copied Ayamine's style and, trying to hold him off, Taiga Academy again got a free kick. But Kai's is not ready to fight Daiki yet. In other words, he will go against Daiki again only when his copy is perfect. Meanwhile, the score was 46-58 in favor of Taiga Academy. The Kai's said they believed in their ace and would wait, but there's no such thing as a quick comeback in basketball. With a big lead and a time deficit, even his perfect copy won't save them. In their situation, 15 points is the limit. Kai's remembered Daiki's words when he said that only he could beat himself. But what if this self is playing against Daiki? Kai's was able to break through Daiki after all. Trying to stop Kai's again, Amine got a free throw, but Kike's shot was counted. When you foul on a shot, the ball counts and you're awarded a free throw. Meanwhile, the score was 53-60 in favor of Tao Academy. The Kai's counterattack. But is Daiki confused? Not only does Kai's have the same moves as Daiki, but he's also fast. Kai's is about to shoot the ball into the ring, but at the last second, Amine knocks it away from him, and it flies off into the bleachers. Amine says that Kai's is the one who worries him the most. After all, he doesn't show any concern. If Kai's can afford it, he should play with Daiki as if his life depended on it. To which Kai's replied that he knew that Daiki would do it. If it had ended that way, it would have been too easy. When halftime began, Academy coach Tao said that the fact that Daiki had 4 fouls made the last quarter quite sad. But they still need Amine to stay on the court as long as possible. The coach said to change the formation and work together to defend the offense. But Amine, interrupting him, said that wasn't necessary, and he added to throw all the balls to him in the last quarter. After all, the rest of Tao's team can handle Kai's team. But the only one who can take care of Kai's in his current state is Daiki. The fourth quarter began. Amine didn't just not give up after the fouls, but became even stronger. His concentration was incredible. But in spite of that, Kai's repeated the same throw by Daiki and scored. No one is falling behind in the game right now. It's not just a scrimmage, it's a real scrimmage. Trying to make the throw, Kai's realized something was wrong with his leg. But he still managed to score. The score was 98-106 in favor of Tao Academy. Rico has never seen such a heavy flow of the game. The zone players are mentally exhausted. Kai's in particular is having a hard time. The gaps are constantly jumping from 8 to 10 points. But even in the nick of time, they don't give up. And time is running out. Daiki admits that Kai's is good, but he won't let his guard down until the very end. As long as Kai's has those eyes, there's no telling how it will end. But the Kai's have intercepted the ball. This is a chance for them. There's only 1 minute left in the match. The game will be decided now. If the Kai's score, it's down to 2 3-pointers. And if I miss, they have no more time left. In other words, this is their last chance. Kai's used a formless shot, but it was a deceptive move because he wanted to pass the ball to Kasamatsu. But Daiki saw that and knocked the ball away. Kaisa missed his chance. Daiki told Kai's that he was doing great up to that point, but then he made a major mistake. If it had also been a one-on-one game, maybe Kai's would have had a chance to win. Kai's made the mistake of looking away from him, and looked to the right at Kasamatsu. On one look seemed like the most unexpected option. But he was also an action that Daiki had never done, and therefore the most likely. Daiki's style is in no way designed for team play. Kai's realized that he had missed his chance. But then Kasamatsu came up to him and said that there would be another prank. Let him get ready. After all, the game wasn't over yet. Armine said that because Kai's did not stay true to the fight with Daiki until the end, this game ended up being a total disappointment. In the end, Kai's lost because he was too weak and relied on the team to the very end. To which Kai's replied that he was probably right. But Kai's wouldn't go that far for his own sake. It's not that their team lost, it's that Kai's wouldn't be the one who gave up. If you look for the reason for their defeat, it's that Kai's isn't strong enough yet. With a score of 98-110, Tao Academy wins. But Kai's legs no longer hold him. Copying a generation of wonders so much exhausts his body. But the Kai's team has not abandoned its ace. Kasamatsu, picking him up, said that Kai's did well, and besides, this is not the end. After all, Kai's will be able to play them this winter.